but a setup, because when the NCAA started allowing college athletes to control and profit from their name, image, and likeness, I had a hard time accepting the idea that this whole NIL thing was a good idea. Okay, so you know that, and you and I have had debates, Gee. I mean, my feeling was
spirited.
Yes, very spirited. These are student athletes. I've always felt if they're talented enough to play at that level, they get their tuition, housing, et cetera, paid for. That seemed to be fair, because I know how much it costs to get a college education these days. I mean, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. But over the years since we've been doing this show, Gee, you have worked on opening my eyes to why NIL isn't all bad for college students. Now we're talking about for high school students, though. So Henry Organ is an NFL sports agent, and he joins us now live in studio. I know he's a friend of yours, too. So Gee said that I was going to ask all the questions. Now, I want Gee to ask questions, too, but let's just start off. Like, why are we now looking at high school?
Well, I mean, it's part of the process, right? I mean, as you go to college, right, right in college, in high school, you pick your decision on what college you're going to go to. So these colleges incentivize kids with NIL to come to their schools. So they need representation and something to be discussed.
Okay, so what kind of things are we seeing these days? Because I just feel like you're already corrupting the kids at such a young age.
I mean, they're not being corrupted. It's a business, right? There's coaches that are getting paid millions of dollars to do business and perform, right? So these young student athletes are also being treated like a business. And now they're learning that they are a part of the ecosystem and they have some value and worth. So you're seeing anything from multiple six-figure, seven-figure payments, depending on what position you play, how many stars you have. You're seeing, cars being given to you, or cars that are you're allowed to lease for a certain extended period of time.
Are you talking high school kids?
High school kids going into college.
Okay, so you're talking about a 17-year-old, let's say, and now, okay, I want to point out again, you are an NFL agent, so it's your job to get them the most that they can get out of these deals. So obviously you come in from that perspective. But how, and I said corrupting these kids at a young age, how do you make sure that people aren't exploiting them? I just feel like, again, it's now saying that it's professional sports starting at a high school age. We're not even talking... I'm still trying to accept the whole college thing.
Well, for me, I'm trying to get not just the best deal, the most fair and equitable deal that the school can actually honor. So it's not like there's a negative connotation that agents come into the mix versus parents and they want the most amount of money. No, I want what's actually reasonable that you actually can and will pay out and do business correctly. Where parents and other people look at it sometimes like, I want the most amount of money, but it's just all fluff at times. So for me, why is this better for them? Well, before this, right, you have high school kids going to college that sometimes fall into predatory lending, where there's a loan shark that knows that you're probably going to get drafted one day, and this still happens to this day. Let me give you $1 million at 50% interest.
Okay, yeah, so, I see that, but now I feel like this whole thing has changed college sports, and now we're going to extend it starting in high school, where, I mean, a lot of these kids are still, just trying to get through what's expected of them in high school, and now we're talking about big dollars, and it's really not an emphasis on education anymore. It is an emphasis on, hey, as long as you're healthy and you're going to be playing at this level, you could be making millions of dollars, and we're going to try to work out a deal.
You know what? I should probably set the framework better, right? Not every kid gets paid a lot of money. The high school kids typically have the lowest value unless they're a 4- or 5-star recruit or there's a serious demand at those schools. So when you're coming in out of high school, the top player, if you're a quarterback, is making up to $1 million. But the average or the majority of players are making like 100, 125. And sometimes the schools skew how that 100, 125 is paid out. Sometimes part of that $125,000 package is your rent's being paid for. So that could be $40,000, $50,000. So how much actual cash are they seeing in their pockets?
Okay, so I want to ask, where do you come in? Give me a scenario as to what you would do. So let's say there's a Eastside Catholic football player who is a 5-star recruit. Everyone wants him. What is your role? What do you do coming out of
the first thing is I ask, hey, can I meet with you and whoever's helping you make this decision on where you're going to school? And then I ask, hey, would you like me to help you through this process. Would you like me to be involved? Some kids, parents are very dominant and they want to do everything and they think they know what they're doing. And there's some trainers that think they know what they're doing too, and they don't. Because at the end of the day, how this journey happens right there in high school affects how you go to the NFL draft and how you get paid a second time, which is where the real money is. So I'm incentivized to help them early on so they don't mess this process up. They don't mess up their name, where they go to school, et cetera, so that I can go get them $100 million when that time comes. That's where the money is really made from my standpoint. So for me, I go to the kid, typically it's them and their parent, and ask, hey, would you like me to represent you and help you through this process?
Okay, I'm going to just look at our text line right now because our listeners are very smart and they've got questions. And Maureen in the 253 says the agents themselves can be the exploiter of these high school kids. How do you respond to when people have that sentiment?
I would say she's 100% correct. And the reason why she's 100% correct is because not all agents are NFLPA certified and not all agents have done multi-million-dollar deals. So there's a lot of street agents, which are no different than parents, and they do exploit. So that's why I encourage them to get real professional help from someone that actually knows what they're doing, has actually gotten somebody a multi-million-dollar deal at the NFL level.
I want to say, and I want to echo that on what Maureen in the 253 says. Are there agents out here that exploit kids? Absolutely. 1,000,000%. It's the same thing on if there is a bad police officer, do we demonize all police officers? No, we come out and say that police officer was bad or that agent was bad. Here's one for you. So let's take away the agents. Let's say from here on out, agents are not allowed to represent any of these kids that are going. What can be some of the pitfalls and dangers for these kids and or families? Can you give us examples?
I can give you multiple examples, and I hope that people don't use this and think that this is all I need. Some of that money in the deal for a player to go to school can be backloaded. It can be put in places where they can't leave and enter the portal to use their leverage, where a large amount of the money of the reason why they went to that school is paid out after the portal closes versus before. So that's one tidbit or gem that I can give you that, they'll throw a large number at you, but you'll never get the money because you'll never reach the threshold.
So what's an example? So let's say they say, hey, kid, family, we're going to give you $500,000. Give us specifically what would happen. How do they backload it? How does that happen?
You got to do 50 public appearances. You don't have time with school, to your point. Practice, weightlifting, tutoring to do 50 public appearances during the season. So that means you don't get paid out that money until those are done, right? Because it's technically not paid for play. You have to do certain appearances or marketing activities that are really not equitable, but we know how the game goes to complete. And if you don't complete them, you don't get paid.
Okay, I'm going to mention from Jeff and Bonnie Lake, who says, as a teacher, I don't want a student in my class who's getting money and doesn't care about my class at all. We have enough kids who have checked out. Don't need another reason for it. Again, when you are dangling this big amount of money to these kids, I mean, the focus anymore is not their education. It's really, hey, how are we going to bank on your athletic prowess?
But once again, it's a very small portion of players that actually get paid that money. It's really your starting 20 players that get that money, right? That's not all the players that play on the field at one time, right? So that's not how it goes. And there's a lot of kids that act like they're getting that kind of money, and they're not.
Okay, so let me lay out a scenario for you. Let's say I'm a high school sophomore, basketball phenom. I start getting college offers my freshman year. Obviously, I'm not because I'm 5'4", 5'5". But let's say there are a bunch of companies that want to offer me endorsements, or there's an NIL collective like Montlake Futures for UW that wants to start giving me money as a sophomore. What's my incentive then as a player to be about my team when my performance is deciding my paycheck?
So that's not how it works. I'm sorry to stop it. I want to really frame this the correct way. A college collective does not pay a high school player.
Okay, but a local company might be able to.
A local company might be able
like
to.
the car dealership?
Yeah, but that's not really happening.
Okay.
That's just not really happening. Players aren't getting real endorsement deals like that. They're getting some, but not a lot. as far as high school players. But what will be
So
your
far.
incentives so far?
So far, I mean, you're talking about Texas football.
But we're also talking about basketball. Just keep it in
Yeah.
perspective. Basketball players have been getting incentivized to do things for years because there's one and done.
So I want to just let me say this because I know, and by the way, like Maureen in 253 says, I totally get it. I understand where the agent has it feels as if there's a negative connotation to them. So let's remove the agents. Let's do that. We're going to remove all agents. Who do you all think is offering the money? So if you guys want to, let's remove the agents. Who is offering the money? Who benefits from having that really good athletes from there? And if you remove the agent, I'll tell you. You ready? The school. It's the school. So it's easy to demonize the agent, or it's easy to demonize the pimp or the drug dealer that happens in some of these communities. But nobody wants to demonize, like, who is giving out the money? And one more thing, Ursula, you ready for this? The NIL. I'm asking you now.
Okay.
Who pays the money for NIL?
Well, I know you're going to say it's the school, but it's
No.
us.
Come on. Who is
Thank
it?
you. Yeah.
The ticket holders.
Yes.
The
yes.
fans.
They've already informed us that our ticket costs are going to go up.
So check this out, everybody. The schools don't pay anything. You, the fan, are paying them. So you guys want to remove the agent?
Is this supposed to make me feel better?
Well, I have a question for both of you guys.
Uh-huh.
If your son or daughter is coming to college, right?
Yeah.
And they're going through the process and they have all these offers.
Yes.
And you don't
I
want
want
an agent.
yeah.
You don't want an agent, right? Let's say you don't want an agent. What are you going to do when you get to the table and the school is telling you you're only going to give your daughter or son $50,000?
Oh, no. If that's the case, I'm definitely going to want to be with someone who is going to both negotiate and make sure that my child's best interests are covered.
Wow.
You know what I love about Ursula? And we've been doing this for 4.5 years. No matter what, she cannot lie.
I can't.
No. Are you Mormon? Are you Mormon?
No, but I'm Catholic.
Okay. No, she will not. Hey, Henry Organ, thank you.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
coming
thank
in.
you so much.
Ursula, before we go, do you feel better or worse?
You know what? I feel more informed. You know, I still hold on to some of my old sentiments, but I get it too. I mean, this is the reality that we're living in, and it's just changed the flavor of college sports for me. And man, I just want to protect the kids as long as we can.